The Rasen Postcast in association with Paddy Power. They price up all UK and Irish racing the night before.
Hello there, a warm welcome along to the Racing Post Weekend Postcast. We have got a jam-packed transmission for you featuring 4 mega races at Newmarket, a really big card as the flat season comes to its climax. We've got some stuff for the jumps fans at Market Rasen. The lads are telling me they've got a few nuggets from elsewhere, including one at Haydock, which Brendan Duke is very keen to talk about. And then we will switch the spotlight to the Curragh on Sunday, where, among others, a horse that James Pyman is very excited about for next year is running. I'm Bruce Millington. That is James Pyman. And we've also got over in Ireland Brendan Duke from Paddy Power, as mentioned, and making his postcast debut, a very warm welcome to our new star signing at the Racing Post, Brian Shearing. Brian, welcome along. How are you?
Very good. Settling in nicely.
You're settling in all right, are you?
Yeah, ready to get my teeth stuck into this Newmarket card and then a bit of Irish action on Sunday.
Who out of the Irish team, who do you like best and who are you not that keen on?
Well, I better say Richard after seeing that
Richard Forrester,
mugshot of his today in the Post.
I know, blimey, look a bit ferocious.
I was scared coming into the office. I was
Yeah.
delighted he wasn't in today.
Yeah, we need to have a rule actually about smiling bylines. Is your picture byline a smiling one, James?
No,
you look quite sort of studious.
It's
don't
a
you?
very studious one. I think it probably needs to be changed.
We need to
doesn't
break into. The trouble is, it's difficult when the photographer says smile. It's quite tough, isn't it? And who are you not that keen on so far out of your new colleagues, Brian?
No, they're all absolutely brilliant here, top notch.
Good, I'm glad to hear it. Okay, then, right. Let's start with the most difficult race on the Saturday card. Theoretically, you might see it differently, experts. At 4:10, it's the Betfred Cambridgeshire, a traditional handicap. Is it a cavalry charge? Or do cavalry charges have to be over a slightly?
Charge.
Is there a maximum trip for a cavalry charge?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it needs to be a straight course, doesn't it, in a big field?
Yeah. So it's a traditional cavalry charge. And how do Paddy Power bet, Brendan Duke?
Well, we make last year's winner third time lucky, the 7-1 Fav, 10-1 Bravo Zolo, 12-1 Sparkplug, 14-1 brings in Celestial Path, Banksy, very talented, Night Owl, 16-1 GM Hopkins, Master of the World, Carry On Derek and Examiner, and 20's Bar.
Lovely. We'll start with you, James. Who's going to win it?
Can I be greedy and have 2?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, I mean, a strategy I like to adopt with these big field races is to take one either side. In terms of the draw, there's been, I think Lowe have been favoured in a few recent runnings, but I think pace might be the determining factor. So I'm going to go with Carry On Derek from the high numbers.
I never saw that film. Was that one of the more successful Carry On films? It just doesn't sound very promising, does it? Carry On Derek. I can't quite see why they'd make a film on that. But anyway, I broke your interruption.
I've never seen Carry On Derek either. I suspect Sid James was in it, wasn't he?
I think
he's probably in every single
Hattie Jakes. So why do you fancy Carry On Derek then from stall 35?
Well, I think for a number of reasons. I think the fast ground's going to suit. I think his stable is now beginning to hit top gear. So he's been Godolphin are going to have their typical strong finish to the year. And he's not been seen since he ran a really good race in the Golden Mile at Goodwood when he finished 6th of 19, but he had a horrible draw that day. He was drawn in 21. His jockey that day tried to negate the draw by coming all the way around the field. Did a little bit too much on the front end. I think given a more patient ride over this slightly longer trip, we'll see him to better effect. And I think
Side would love to win it, wouldn't he? Having jocked off the Doiler, and obviously Buick will be in the plate. He'd love that. That would vindicate his decision, wouldn't it?
It would definitely vindicate.
Do you rate that decision? To demote the Doiler?
I don't think I would have demoted the Doiler. I think he's one of our brightest jockeys. He's still very much in the sort of early stages of his career as well.
Okay, so you like Carry On Derek from the higher side, and who's your low one?
Yeah, my low one I think is possibly a bit of a plot, and that's Stipulate. If you go back a few starts to Galway, he was 7-2 for a valuable 7-furlong handicap when he got no luck at all. He's been running over longer trips since then. This mile 1 furlong trip looks tailor-made for him. And if you go back, you've got to go back a few years. I'm sounding a bit like Paul Kelly here with his back form. He was 4th in the Joel Stakes over a mile at this course in 2012 when trained by Sir Henry Cecil. So he's definitely on a good mark.
What do you know about Asheen Orr? I can't think of another jockey with the initials OO, can you?
I don't know that much about him other than Brian Ellison tends to, only book claimers if he thinks they're good value. So I would see that as a positive.
Okay, right. So James Pyman likes Carry On Derek and Stipulate. Brian Shearing, here's your chance to hit the ground running with a debut Postcast stunner. Who are you going for?
I'm afraid it's probably going to be a little bit of an inauspicious start to my podcast debut. I was looking at Banksy for the 3-year-olds, but what about Chill the Kite? Am I going to get laughed at here? He seems to be around forever. He's getting on in years, but
James, you going to laugh at that one?
I'm definitely not going to laugh at that one.
Well, which one are you going for, Banks or Chill the Kite?
I'm going to go Chill the Kite because, look, if you have a free fiver in your pocket, $2.50 each way, and Chill the Kite mightn't be the worst way to go. He's a massive price. Hasn't got a season off to a start at all yet, but let's chance him.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I think very, very positive factors about Chill the Kite. One, he's trained by Hughie Morrison. There's no better trainer in these big handicaps. And secondly, he's got George Baker on board.
Great.
Top jockey. So.
Okay, so that gets a ringing endorsement rather than ridicule there, Brian. So you're off to a good start there. Brendan Duke, who do you think is going to win it?
I like Master of the World. Last year's second. And that's there's no coincidence in that, because this horse does very well in big field handicaps, as evidenced by his run behind Franklin D. Franklin D was 9 or 10 pounds well in that day, wasn't he, in Goodwood? And he's only got beaten ahead by him now. He got a worldie of a ride from Pat Dobbs that day, because this horse is tricky. Like, he just wants to be landed on the line. But no better man than Fran Berry to execute those tactics. 16 to 1, 5 places with Paddy Power. Low draw, covered up, delivered late. Avenges last year's close defeat, IMO.
Jolly good. Okay, right, let's tackle the 3 big 2-year-old races on the card. Starting with the 220, it's the Juddmonte Royal Lodge Stakes. Now, in recent years, the list of recent winners hasn't been that notable, except, of course, in 2010, when it was still run at Ascot, and the mighty Frankel ran. And before you guys give your opinion on the Royal Lodge, I've got a quick quiz question. Which horse was third that day and then, about 9 months later, came within a whisker of winning the Derby? Come on, Brian. Impress me with your knowledge here. In fact, some people thought... I'll give it away now. Some people thought he had one because the jockey on the winner celebrated so vociferously.
Oh, was that Treasure Beach?
Correct. Well done, Brendan.
Behind Pourmois. What a shame.
He was a very remote third of 5 to Franklin, the 2010 Royal Lodge, which is absolutely bugger all use to you if you want to know who's going to win it tomorrow. But James Pyman's words of advice are useful to you. Go on, James.
Well, it's an interesting betting heat for me because, I mean, I don't know what price Douglas MacArthur's going to be, the Aidan O'Brien horse. I mean, he was favourite for the Derby before. Getting turned over last time at 8-13 at Leopardstown, and for me, he's now a horse to take on. He's been beaten at odds on 2 of his 3 runs, and he could make if again he's a shortish price. This could be an opportunity here for the progressive Monteterre, who's got a bit to prove, stepping up, taking a big step up in class here from listed level to Group 2. But when these Mark Johnson horses get on a roll, we often see that they just keep on improving. So I'm hopeful that he's going to be a reasonable price here against Douglas MacArthur.
Now, Brendan, you haven't been able to galvanise your fellow odds compilers yet into coming up with a show on this. Have you got a kind of feel for how it might look?
I did. I had a little think about how I would price it, and I would have made best of days fav. Interesting. Now, it will be like this. Douglas MacArthur is a fascinating horse. I was in Leopardstown. I've been in Leopardstown for every one of his runs. The first time he jumped the road, everything went wrong. And I remember I was just standing around the parade ring when he came back in, head bowed, and Hayden just walked over and just fondled his ear as if to say, "That'll be grand, it'll be grand." And then he's gone and bolted up the next day. But he was disappointing the last day. And I thought Best of Days was the best horse in the race at York the last day. He was hanging around a bit in front, just got mugged. And he was very well backed that day, and I thought he'd be well backed again tomorrow. I thought he'd just be fav over Douglas MacArthur.
So is that your selection then, Best of Days, do you think, Brendan?
Yeah, so this is it, because I think he'll win. Do I think he should be fav? I'm not sure, but they're going to be out to get Douglas MacArthur, surely, as for the reasons James.
Okay, Brian, have you got a view on this?
Yeah, I just thought Douglas MacArthur, when he won his maiden, it had a bit of the wow factor about him. Things didn't go right for Ballydoyle at all at Irish Champions Weekend. That was his first start out with maiden company. I'd probably be willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, and hopefully he gets back to winning ways.
Okie doke, 2.55 for some people. This is the best race on the card. It's the Connolly's Red Mills Cheveley Park Stakes, in which we see Lady Aurelia almost unfeasibly fantastic at Royal Ascot. Slightly less dynamic in France next time out, but still the market leader in a fantastic heat that also includes Queen Kindly and Aidan and Ryan Moore teaming up on Roly Poly. How do you bet, Brendan?
Oh, what a heat this is. 4-6 Lady Aurelia, 11-4 Queen Kindly, 11-2 Roly Poly, 20 Holy Cat, 33 Brave Anna and 40 Pellucid.
And we'll stick with you for the verdict.
Oh, just at those prices, I'm going to favour Queen Kindly. She may have time on her side compared to Lady Aurelia. Not that there was anything wrong with Lady Aurelia's win in Deauville. It obviously wasn't as stunning as the win in Ascot, but I mean the Peace Envoy, that's strong form beating Peace Envoy like that. So she's entitled to be fab, but at 11-4 against 4-6, I'll go for Queen Kindly.
James, everyone's kind of expecting a big regression or a certain degree of regression from Lady Aurelia. What do you think? How do you view this one? It's a tough old heat, isn't it?
I thought the tank was empty last time. I'm concerned about it. I mean, Newmarket it's going to be quick ground, and 6 furlongs at Newmarket is quite sharp. It's quite a fast track, so that will suit her. But funnily enough,
the bushes.
They do a bit, but it's predominantly downhill and on quick ground. I think it favours horses with natural speed. Saying that, the ground was quicker in the morning compared to the ground she encountered at Ascot, so maybe she wants a softer surface. But I thought she was possibly running on empty. And here there are in Roly Poly and Queen Kindly, we've got 2 horses who stay 6 furlongs strongly, and I don't think there's going to be that much between Queen Kindly and Roly Poly. So I'm tempted to think, well, Lady Aurelia could bomb out here. So maybe the forecast. Yeah. I like that option.
Good angle. Okay. And Brian, what about you?
Yeah, James kind of stole my thunder there. I think she put an awful lot into her Queen Mary romp, so I think there's every chance she mightn't even be involved in the finish here. Bold words, but I'd be laying anyway at 4-6, and maybe the forecast, Queen Kindly to lead home Roly Poly.
Great stuff. 2 for the forecast. Okay, the 3:30. It's the Middle Park this year for the first time in a couple of years. You can run in the Middle Park and the Dewhurst without having to run twice on the same day, which is a good thing. And there's a decent field here. Blue Point will head the market, I presume, Brendan?
Yes, but a very competitive heat. 5-4 Blue Point, 7-2 Maymas, 8-1 both Intelligence Cross and Mocaris, 10-1 Peace Envoy, 12-1 Mupta Sim, and 20 Spar.
We'll come to you, Brendan. But I think, James, you've got quite a strong view on this race, don't you?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think Mimas is definitely my favourite horse in training at the moment. He's such
it's a shame he's going to be retired to stud then, isn't it, really?
It is. He's such a warrior, yet to finish out of the first 2. I mean, we mentioned a minute ago the ground and the track, and I think it's going to really favour him. He's won all 3 starts on over 6 furlongs on good old faster going. Dettori knows how to get the most out of him, and he's a really tough cookie, and I can see him knuckling down well and beating this lot. I think Dettori's just going to ride him very, very positively, and I think 7-2 is a decent bet against Blue Point at 5-4.
James loves Maymas. Who does Brian Shearing love?
I was at the Curragh, and just the way he worked Churchill, well, not really worked Churchill. Churchill was in a different league on the day, but look, I just thought Maymas would probably win this again. He's admirable sort. This is his 8th start, 5th in a group race. Probably just side with him again. 2
for Maymas, Brendan?
Oh, it's such a competitive race, this. If you push me, I'd go for Intelligence Cross. He only made his debut in June. So there's a good chance that he's just coming to himself, and he was wildly impressive the last day in the Curragh. Now, I'm not sure what he beat, but Holy Cat will give us a steer as to the value of the form in the previous race. So if Holy Cat were to go and run a decent race in the Cheveley Park, my confidence in Intelligence Cross would increase.
Damn good card this, Brendan, isn't it? You're flat over jumps, aren't you, any day of the week, aren't you?
Indeed, yeah.
What are you, Brian? Are you flat or jumps?
Oh, jumps. I think this is the most excellent. I've been asked that question since I've started this job. Everybody's been asking me in the press room, but jumps all the way.
Well done. That's a good answer. And James, what are you these days?
I like both. I prefer betting on the flat. I prefer watching the top flight jump action, but there's just not enough of it. It's just I like the continuous flow of quality racing on the flat.
Yeah, you get that kind of downtime before Cheltenham, don't you? Which is slightly
just the 6
slightly
months.
irksome.
Yeah,
No, it's not. Don't be ridiculous. October, November, December, absolutely superb. The best 3 months of racing coming up. James, I believe you've sussed on the undercard at Newmarket, haven't you? Who do you like?
Yes, I do. In the 5:20, the last race, Yufton is making his debut for the super shrewd Roger Charlton. Charlton's running him over 7 furlongs, which I think is his best trip. He's potentially well handicapped. He's got a best RPR of 116, and he's in here off, I think, about 95. And with George Baker on board, I don't think this is the strongest Class 2 handicap I've seen at Newmarket this season. I think he's got a really good shout.
So if anyone's in trouble on the high-profile stuff, Yufton in the 5:20. OK, let's look at some jumps action next.
Here's Paddy Power's latest horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if your horse finishes second to the SP5 at one meeting every day this month. Paddy Power, you're welcome. Max free bet £25, 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly.
Welcome back. It's Bruce Millington, James Pyman, Brian Shearing, and from Paddy Power, Brendan Duke. We've looked at Newmarket, and now we're going to look at some decent... Is it summer jump? It's early autumn jumping, I suppose. Market Rasen. There's 2 races on Channel 4 there. The 2:35 is the 188bet.co.uk Prelude Handicap Hurdle, brackets listed race, brackets class 1, etc. And there are about, looking at it, about 9 runners. Who's going to cross the line in front, James?
Well, it's got the feel of a summer jumps handicap, hasn't it? Because quite a few of these horses have been running through the summer. I like the top weight here, Red Tornado. He's bidding for a 5-timer, and he won a very similar race over the course and distance 70 days ago. And I thought what was interesting that day was immediately after the race, Dan Skelton said, there's another handicap at the track we're going to target, which is this race, and then he's going to go on and run in a listed race at Kempton in October. So the fact that, Skelton is looking that far ahead and looking at loftier targets in the future suggests to me that he thinks Red Tornado is still well handicapped off 137.
Where do you stand on Skelton as a trainer? He's going to go all the way, isn't he?
Different class, yeah. As a future champion, definitely going to be a future champion trainer.
So impressive. I remember once I was lucky enough to get the invite to Ditchy, and we actually had a dinner the night before in the pub there, and Ruby was there and Paul and everyone, and we overindulged massively. So my fantastic experience at the top of that uphill gallop was ruined because I was chronically hungover. I was absolutely rotten. And I was standing there, and Dan Skelton, who was obviously still at Paul's, is saying, look, there's Denman and there's Corto and there's, Star Mahazen and there's Big Bucks and all these fantastic horses coming up. It should have been the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I just wanted to lie on the floor, and it was such a shame. But Dan Skelton was so impressive that day, and in pretty much everything he's done since, he just looks like he's the man, doesn't he? 3:10, the Prelude Handicap Chase. 2 miles, 5 furlongs, 89 yards. And James, who wins?
Well, an angle I like at this time of the year with the jumps is I like to take on those horses that have been running in the summer. I think the races are weaker. Here, Fox Appeal is returning for Emma Lavelle off a 175-day break. Fox Appeal has gone well fresh in the past. If you look at his first time out run last season, he ran in a Cheltenham handicap worth 31 grand. This is similar prize money. He ran that day in that Cheltenham race of 151. He's £8 lower. I seriously think Lavelle's looked at it, thinks, I've got a good, well-handicapped horse. I'm going to target a softish handicap chase worth 28 grand, and then we'll hopefully go on, build on that, and probably go to Cheltenham after this.
Do you know what? When Paul Keeley called me this morning about an hour ago and said, look, mate, he said, I can't come in. I'm absolutely struggling like mad with food poisoning. And I said, James, please help us. He said, no, I can't. I haven't had a proper look. The guy's knowledge is absolutely ridiculous. He's come in here and he absolutely knows every single horse, every code, every country. What a man. What a super sub. Now,
well said.
Now, Brendan, you've got one at Haydock. Is this going to be your best bet of the day, or should we get it in before the best bet of the days?
I don't think it's going to be my best bet of the day.
Okay,
but
well, let's have it then. What have you got for us at Haydock Park?
Well, it's the first in Haydock. It's called the Wingate sign supports #SuperJosh Handicap. And it should really be sponsored by this podcast, because we have Lord Ben Stack, who listeners last week will know has forever tainted holidays for Mr. Graham Rodway by winning while he was away. He's convinced he's still well handicapped. Wrangler, who's been off for 2 years, but regular listeners again will know that would not concern Mr. Paul Keeley, because he is trained by William Haggis, who's an absolute master of bringing these horses back off long layoffs. And down the bottom, you have a horse that I'm really interested in.
Don't tell me Kitten Rock's running.
No. Well, a horse that you may see over hurdles. I'd say you go for a pretty penny, this horse, if the National Hunt boys could buy him. Rex Bell. Now, I'd say that Johnny G has one eye on the November handicap for this horse, but he needs to get about £7 or £8 to get in. So tomorrow's his last chance. So those three horses taking each other on in the first of the Haydock. What a race.
Who do you think will win it?
I really love this Rex Bell. I
Bell.
think if he got into the November handicap, he'd win it. But he has to go and win tomorrow.
A beautiful summary of a very intriguing contest. And
Indeed.
that leads us into our best bets of Saturday.
If he doesn't win, I will be absolutely staggered. I think it's a stone cold certainty.
Right, James, lead on.
Yeah, Mimas. I've been backing him all season, and I'm not going to stop that policy. I think he can win the Middle Park Stakes. I'll be lumping on.
What size bet are you going to have? You don't have to say the exact sum, just in case the princess is listening. But
Well, it will be 3 figures.
3-figure bet, yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, you've got the twins and the other lad. So tomorrow, will it be a family day, or will you clear the deck so you can watch the Middle Park?
I'll be basically taking the girls to their swimming lesson, dropping them off, and then getting back quickly to watch the Newmarket card.
Good man. Okay, Brian, bet of the day.
Oh,
Come on, Brian. You must have
Maymas.
known this is coming.
At a push, Maymas.
You come in
I think.
Maymas as well.
Yeah, just for the price he is. I think.
Okay,
Probably
that's
should be
fine.
shorter.
That's fine. Maymas for the other two lads. So what about you, Brendan?
I'll go for Master of the World in the Cambridgeshire. Go for it all.
Okay, jolly good. Right, a great Sunday card coming up. We'll have a look at that.
Here's Paddy Power's latest horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if your horse finishes second to the SP5 at one meeting every day this month. Paddy Power, you're welcome. Max free bet £25, 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly.
Hello there, it's Bruce Millington, James Pyman, Brian Shearing, and from Paddy Power, Brendan Duke, looking ahead to a great Sunday card at the Curragh, which may well have a 2017 Classic winner running on it. We're going to tackle 4 decent races in chronological order, which means the 220, which is the CL and MF Weld Park Stakes. It's over 7 furlongs, and we will get Brian Shearing, our new star signing in our Irish office, to tell us who's going to win.
Well, I think it's going to go to Dermot Weld. You have to go back to 99 since the last time he won it. But he's got the hood on this Azira. She's been right up there at the head of the betting in her last 3 starts. I think she probably left a race behind her the last day. But look, she'll get back to winning ways. I'm quite confident Weld will take the Weld Stakes.
Brian says the last day as well. Does anyone in Ireland say last time out? There's a real language gap there, isn't it? We always say last time out and you always say the last day. Have you ever been...
Yeah, I never noticed that, actually.
You're joking? You've never noticed it?
No, I always say the last day, now that you mentioned it.
I know you
but
do, yeah.
This is the thing, isn't it? Why the Jews are such great comedians. You have to be an outsider to tell people what they're doing.
Well,
you know?
the two big language ones are the last day versus last time out, and in the Curragh or at the Curragh. Have you noticed that one as well?
Yeah, no.
We always say at, and in Ireland you say in.
I'll be in the Curragh. Yes, I would say that, actually. Yeah.
James, have you got a view on the park?
I've got a view on the last day, though. I think
Oh, go on.
no, I think the last day is quite a useful term, because then and the last twice as well. You see, because
Yeah.
you're always struggling to say, in the last
I just
2
don't think it
runs when you're
works
writing
for an English person to say the last day. I think you have to stick with the last time out. So you're not going to put one up here, no?
Not really. I think basically, like Brian said, I think Azira, if you pronounce Azira like that, is probably the horse to win this.
What about you, Brendan?
Oh, yeah. Azira, I mean, was involved in one of the best races of the year against that Sea of Grace last year, a ding-dong battle. The only danger is this Pearl de la Mer. You don't know how good she is, but that was a terrible maiden. She won in Galway. Azira would be a heavy odds-on shot, I'd wager.
I thought that might be Gerald Delamere's sister, but it's spelt differently, isn't it? It can't be. 255, the Renaissance Stakes. Actually, whoa. I've got 250 and 255 here. The running order says 255 and the card says 250. So we're going to go 250, okay? It's the Renaissance Stakes Group 3, and straight away my eyes are drawn to the top horse, Gordon Lord Byron. Good old Gordon Lord Byron. Can he win it, Brian?
God, I'd love to see him win it, but I just don't think so. I was looking at the Happy Prince, but he doesn't win that often. I think he's 3 from 20. Don't think he's ever won at the Curragh. Look, the best sprint trainer around is Eddie Lynham, maybe Fort Delora might get back to winning ways. That's a stab in the dark for me. I was hoping that Tuscanini would line out here because I think he's a 6 furlong horse, and I'm also in the David Jennings fan club with Tuscanini.
Yeah.
But look, he didn't turn up. But I'd say Fort Delora, but
You won't be having your max bet, no?
Oh, Jesus, no.
Okay, fair enough. James, can you proffer one for us here?
I think Brian's made a very good case for backing Gordon Lord Byron because, you know, he's a proven class act, and if he's on a going day, I think he can beat this lot.
Go on, GLB.
I know he's got you know, a penalty. If you were looking at another one, maybe in Salutum each way, he's a progressive sprinter. I'm a big fan of backing informed sprinters, and he's got loads of form at the Curragh or in the Curragh over 6 furlongs.
At the Curragh?
Yeah.
Brendan, fairy tale with GLB?
He wouldn't
Not
be
fairy tale, but a nice result, a heart.
No, he's definitely got a chance. I mean, if he's on one of his going days, he's definitely got a chance. I thought the Happy Prince, though. I mean, this horse has gone from being tripless and frustrating to being rock solid over 6 and 7 furlongs. I thought a repeat of either of his last 2 runs would probably be good enough here.
Okie doke. Should we do the Beresford? Let's do the Bezer, shall we? Okay, and James, you lead on here because you think that. I mean, it's going to be reasonably short here, but you think there's a horse in this that could be worth backing for the Derby next year, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, that's Capri. It's just a really likeable type. He was so green first time out, and what was interesting, Aidan O'Brien gave him 3 quick runs, and I think it's to get him ready for the Beresford Stakes. It's a race Aidan O'Brien loves to use as a springboard for his top middle distance prospects. And I mean, O'Brien's won 5 of the last 6 runnings of this, and I think probably if Capri is strong in the market, the stat of the weekend for me is Aidan O'Brien's last 8 odds-on shots in the Beresford all won. So if the money suggests that this horse is going to win, it might be a case of just following that. I just think Capri's the sort of horse he's just going to keep improving. A mile is probably the bare minimum for him.
What price are you on at for the Derby?
I'm on at 20s. I think he's about that at the moment, though, because of Churchill was just so impressive that, you know, the book has shortened him up and have pushed out the others. And Douglas MacArthur obviously was turned over as well. So,
okay, what price are you for the Derby? Capri now, Brendan?
20 to 1 is correct.
Okay. Does that tempt you, Brendan? That's a no.
Well, not particularly. Definitely, I wouldn't have counterfeit on Churchill at 6 to 1. He doesn't look like any middle distance horse I've ever seen. Now, in fairness, he almost doesn't look like any horse I've ever seen. He's such a magnificent specimen, but he has an arse like a sprinter, and I'll be shocked if he stays a 1.5 miles.
Capri's got lovely grey fur, hasn't he, I believe?
Yes, he's very
grey, isn't he?
And he's long and he's a supple mover. He looks all over a middle distance horse.
He's a middle distance horse in the making, isn't he? Definitely. Yeah. And he's just also what I like about him is he's uncomplicated and he's just a strong galloper. I think he's got a touch of the master craftsman about him, but I think he's going to stay further.
Is there any slight concern that he dons a tongue tie, do you think, James?
It has to be a little bit of a concern. I mean, it suggests that, you know, breathing doesn't necessarily come naturally to him, that he might have a few issues there, but he wore a tongue tie last time. That didn't seem to inconvenience him. So I don't know.
He's worn it before and shown good form, so let's hope he's fine. Brian, are you in the Capri fan club?
Yeah, and even more so just the fact that Shamie Heffernan, I think it takes a lot for Shamie Heffernan to get effusive about a horse, and when he was interviewed in ATR after Tipperary, he was pretty much saying that this fella could be the real deal, so I think Capri will be the one on Sunday. Just a side note, Old Man River won this 2 years ago and he runs at Dundalk this evening, so might be worth tuning into later on.
Brian and Brendan, have you got anything else on the Curragh undercard that we should be backing?
Well, I would say that Capri will be kept honest in the betting by exemplar, and I certainly wouldn't worry about the tongue tie, because I think Aidan, he has this thing where if you read Richard Forrestal's interview with him, he's always questioning things, questioning his parenting skills, questioning his training. This is how he learns, and he's embraced cheek pieces and headgear in the last few years, and now perhaps like Dan Skelton, who puts a tongue tie on all his horses to take a variable out of things. Aidan is looking at doing this as well, because that exemplar has a tongue tie as well. So I wouldn't be concerned about that at all. But that exemplar is a proper horse as well. It'd be a good battle between the two of them in the Beresford.
Okay, anything on the undercard?
Well, of course, a very interesting race for you is this listed race, which is Forgotten Rules Prep for Ascot. But the race will be made by good old Jenny's Jewel.
Oh, yeah, good old Jenny's. Oh,
So she'll put the pace to the race.
Does she win it?
Well, probably not good enough. Twilight Payment is interesting down the bottom, and Forgotten Rules, despite it being a prep, will probably just be good enough.
No,
but
I'm going to be all over the Jennies.
She's a solid each-way bet in the conditions. She'll make it a test for them.
She's so lovely. Okay, Brian, have you got anything else for me at the Curragh?
Just a line on Jenny's Jewel. I was talking to Jarlath Fatty there during the week, and they had this in the Prix de Cadran in the mines, but wasn't soft enough for Prix de Cadran, so it's this and then on to the Cesarewitch, either Cesarewitch. I'm not sure which one they're going to go for just yet, but God, she's a lovely filly, and even though she's 9 years of age, I wouldn't mind owning her going over jumps again this season.
Damn right, she's good, isn't she? James, anything else for us at the Curragh?
Well, I mean, in this race, there's actually a topical angle for those who follow their ratings, because with the tweak to the weight for age system, you could say Twilight Payment's effectively well in, because he's a 3-year-old here taking on older horses over 2 miles. So the handicapper is saying he's well in. He's a coming force in the staying division. So for me, he could go off a decent price against Forgotten Rules. Although, then again, I wouldn't necessarily want to oppose the tough teak Jenny's Jewel.
Okay, doke. James, weekend plans. So you got to drop the girls at swimming. Then you're going to win money on Maymas. And what else have you got lined up?
Yes, and then I'm going up to see my folks who I haven't seen for a while, because it's the twins are 7 next week. So we're going to have a party on Sunday. So it's going to be racing and partying.
Brilliant.
Perfect weekend.
What a great combination. Yeah. Brian, has the rota been kind to you? You're the new boy, so you're probably grafting every weekend, aren't you? So the others can just swan around, yeah?
Oh, until next Thursday, Bruce.
Really?
Yeah.
Blimey.
But I wouldn't have it any other way.
Good.
That's the right answer.
That is absolutely the right answer, Brian. And thank you very much for your excellent input on what was a very impressive Postcast debut. You can certainly come again. And Brendan, what's happening? First of all, what's happening with the rota?
Oh, a pretty sick rota this week. I'm in on Sunday, so I won't be going to the Curragh.
Right.
I am off tomorrow. I could do something, but
did you remonstrate when the rota came out, or did you just have to suck that one up?
I think I just had to suck it up, because I was feeling the love on Champions Weekend. So it swings and roundabouts this rota game, isn't it?
And talking of love, is the quest for love going on this weekend?
Oh my God!
What's happened? What's the latest instalment?
Well, I mean, I might as well tell you. So I did have a date this week. Not unlike Craig David, I took her for a drink on Tuesday.
Right.
We were not making love by Friday. And in fact, there won't even be a second date. So I'm done with women. I'm concentrating on horses.
Your form figures are terrible at the moment, aren't they?
It's just, I'm like this thing in a cellar. No bid. That's the, I used to be catnip to the... Anyway, look, I'm done with women. Concentrating on backing winners. That's the future.
Jolly good. Okay, well, hopefully there's plenty of winners contained in the last half hour or whatever. Many thanks, James. Superb stuff. Brian, like I say, a superb debut. Many thanks for that. And Brendan, thank you as ever. We will be back on Monday with the Racing Post review postcast. And then, excitingly, next Friday, are you on duty next Friday, Brendan?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, well, it's you, me, Keels, if he's well again, and no less than ITV's new racing frontman, Mr. Ed Chamberlain. What do you think of that?
What a coup for you.
How about that?
Yeah,
join us for that. Have a great weekend.
Okay.
The Racing Postcast in association with Paddy Power. They prize support UK and Irish racing the night before.